Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I am going to share about the interface of the Blender and Cinema 4D. In this time the Blender will be a popular 3D software. If you want to shift from Cinema 4D to Blender, this video will be ideal for you because now in this moment Blender is totally open source. You can download it to free download, use to free without any license, and in the other hand Cinema is coming from the MAAC Foundation and the Blender is coming from the Blender Foundation. Cinema is totally licensed. You can use it in cracked version for your personal purpose or education purpose, but in the other hand you use the Blender in commercial version or personal version or as a freelancer. The Blender is good for a small studio and it is good for a freelancer because the client wants and client needs only render output and image, and in other way Cinema is for using for the commercial version. So this Cinema is a license. It is not a cracked version. I'm using the Cinema is a licensed version and the Blender. So this so my channel is based on the Blender software you know ever. So now I am show you what is the interface of the Blender, what is the similar interface to Blender into Cinema. So let's start. This is the Blender. If you want to shift from Cinema to Blender and vice versa, this video will be very ideal for you. So let's start. This is the Blender interface and this is the Cinema 4D interface. Cinema 4D meaning C4D. This is a Blender. You can move the world by left middle mouse. You can focus your eyes what I'm using the mouse, and this is the keyboard, and press A, and I will say my voice what I'm using, but because there are no plugin. So this is the Blender, this is the Cinema 4D, and how to add a mesh or how to add and what you can find the mesh or object. And there in the upper panel you can see the XYZ axis, different axes, the move tool, selected tool, move tool, scale, rotate tool, and in the Blender you can see at the same side in the left panel you can press D to hide it and again press D to unhide. Selected with the cursor, it is move, rotate, scale. It is same as the C4D. C4D XYZ, and this is the mesh. You can add the mesh. In Blender, this is a selected move, and you can add here mesh. You can add anything in the panel. So before add anything, press shift S, cursor toward origin. So the cursor is make it the cursor set in world origin point, and this origin automatically default set in world origin in Cinema 4D, but in the Blender it we have to set it the cursor in world origin. So now if you want to something, just go in top panel. If you can, the navigation bar, this navigation bar, to add something to mesh, plane, curve, you can add curve, it is surface, metaball, text, amateur, empty, image, light camera, anything you can add. You have to go top panel, add anything, and the Cinema 4D, if you add anything, so you can go to the top panel, cube, and just in drop down menu you can find the null, torus, pyramid, cube, plane, velocity, cone, everything is here. For curve you can set here, you can find the curve related object in drop down menu. Spline or circle, star, and when you want to add camera, target FP camera is here. If you want to add a light, just press it here and press and hold. If you directly press here, it automatically add in your world. So press it to delete. Press, click here and hold. Automatically add. If you just press and hold for few seconds, light, target light, everything is here. And if you add the floor, you can press sky, environment, foreground, background, physical sky. It is you can find, and in the Blender you can find here everything is here. Speaker, force, nature. So in the Cinema 4D now I'm using Q. So if you move the if you move the world, press Alt and click, move the world. In the Blender I'm using mesh cube. If you move the environment in Blender, just click, you can see the this is a shortcut eevee plugin. Everything you can see what I am using in keyboard and mouse. So unhide it. Just use middle mouse button to move. If you move the cube, just press Z and you can move. In the other side, C4D, press E to move, press E to move, and press T to scale, and press R to rotate. On the other hand, in the Blender, press Z to move, shortcut R to rotate, or scale S to scale, or you can use the this tool to move, rotate, to move, and to scale. Scale. And now I'm go to in the edit mode in the Cinema 4D. If you go to edit mode, save again. This is the quad view, and in Blender, if you Blender, if you see a quad view, because this is a perspective view, to click here in middle mouse button, you move to anywhere, and if you move to top here, to click here on middle mouse button, this is a top view, press E to move. If you move to right view, it's the side view, and if you want to move front view, this is the front view. Just click here on middle mouse button. This is the perspective view. In the Blender, if you go to front view, just press 1. If you go to side view or right view, just right view, and you can see here the right orthographic view. If you want to go in the left view, just press control number 3. Top view 7, and if you button view, control number 1 is the button orthographic. And if you want to go perspective view, press 5, or orthographic view, press again 5. Orthographic view, press 5, press again 5 to come back orthographic view. Perspective and orthographic view, vice versa. Now I want to make this object in editable object. So to move it, so move the world, press Alt, click, and if you move it, Alt middle mouse button. And if you want to move in Blender, just Shift middle mouse button, and in Cinema 4D, Alt middle mouse button. This is the Alt middle mouse button. This in Blender, Shift middle mouse button. If you want to make this object in edit mode or editable object, make it editable, press it here, because make editable, or you can press C. So press it here. It is now the object becomes editable. So you can select face, you can select edge, or you can select vertex. So this is the vertex mode. You can select vertex, you can select the edge mode, this is the edge, and this is the face mode. In the Blender, there is no option to click anywhere. So this is the object mode. Just go to and left top panel is object mode, edit mode, sculpt mode, vertex mode, weight paint mode, texture paint mode. Just go to the edit mode. It automatically turn into edit mode. select everything, press way, unselect and select everything A. Whereas in Cinema 4D, Control A, or click it, press the selection mode, just drag with your middle mouse button, it automatically scale your cursor, press it in outside so it automatically unselect everything. To select all, again press Ctrl A, or in the Blender press A to select all, and again press A to unselect. So if you move it, or you can select the move tool, scale tool, and now I am go to, this is the vertex mode. You can go edge mode, select the move tool, and this is the edge mode, and this is the face selection mode, edge selection mode, vertex selection mode. And in Cinema 4D you can, these three options here on the left side, face, edge, and vertex mode. And in Blender you can see it here, just make it object mode, and in Cinema 4D to make it in object mode, just press it here. In Blender mode, just click it edit mode to go back in object mode, and press C, either press C or you can press the move tool. So now you can, again we delete it, set the cursor in the world origin, and in Cinema 4D again it delete. So again we add a cube here and press it here, object, segment 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 segment, and in the Blender go to add, press Q, and the pop-up window here, or you can change the rotation, location, and size. If you use the size into 2 to 1, and you can change the size from here, but you cannot add more aids here like a Cinema 4D. To do this, first go to edit mode, and you can add more aids from edit mode. First deselect it all and press Ctrl R. So, or you can press it here, loop cut. Okay, so how many number cuts? Just 2, 3, 4, and you can loop cut it here. Press and loop cut in here. 2, Okay, 3. No, this is 2. This is the difference between Blender and C40. So again, go to the object mode, and now you can see the every edge from here, and now you turn this object into editable object. To press here, or you can press C from your keyboard. It is a shortcut menu, and you need not press anything to make this object editable. Just press it here, object mode and edit mode. Now if you want to how many cuts you want to see, how many cuts are here in this object, so go to wireframe mode. This is the object shading mode. This is the texture mode, and this is the render view. This is the render view mode. To do this in Cinema 4D, you can display the curved shading mode. You cannot use any edges. If you want to see edges, curved shading mode. This is the wireframe mode. Lines. This is the same thing in Blender. Just click it here. It's the wireframe mode, shading mode, texture mode, and this is the render mode. You cannot see the viewport here. Now if you want to see this object's property, you can click it here. In the Cinema 4D, if you want to see the object property, you can click it here. Basic, with the basic thing, visible in editor, visible in renderer, display color, extray, coordinate, font. These are font properties. Basic. You can see everything in here in the right panel in Cinema 4D. On the other hand, in Blender, you can see, just click it here. First select this object and click it here. Objects property. And like Cinema 4D, you can see everything. Relation, what is the relation, collection, instancing, motion path, visibility, viewport display. And now this is the queue, and you can see here this is the queue. Only queue is added in the Cinema default world, but in the Blender default world, the default mesh where camera is the default offset camera, light, and this queue, these are the default object in Blender. So now I'm going to code view mode. Now how to make or how to create a layer. If you shift this object in the new layer, or if you want to create a new layer, so first click it here in mode, find the layer. And press here. It's a new layer and press it here. Layer mode. It is attribute, or you can change the color as you wish. So okay, press the layer option, layer section. This is the shortcut. Go to the layer section, select this object, right click here and add object to layer. Before this object is not added in this layer. How do you know? Just click it here. The object will be not hidden. It will be not hidden. If you shift this object in the layer, then this object will be hide. To shift this object in this layer, or you can shift layer 1, layer 1, then press enter and just right click, object, add object to layer. Now you press in here in the I button, it automatically hide and hide. And in Blender, press the object to make the layer. Just press M. New collection. This is layer 1 or layer 2. So you can see the layer 1. First delete to this layer, press this object, press the M, and in the keyboard, new collection, and type layer 1 and hit enter, or you can click the OK button. The cube is automatically go in the layer 1. So if you use the I button in layer, it automatically hide. This is the Blender and this is the Cinema 4D. In the Cinema 4D, if you want to see or if you want to find render setting mode, you go to the mode and view setting. This is this one, the render setting mode. You can see everything. Let's see output. In the Blender, the render setting mode is here. What is the engine this software is used in default? eevee is the default engine of this Blender version. The Blender version is 2.82a. Blend this version. The render setting is the render resolution. Everything is here. Stereoscopy, output, metadata processing, view layer, passes, different passes, volumetric here, shadow, everything is here. And in the Cinema 4D output, everything is here. Save, where you want to save this file, and the file. This is the directory, multi-passes. This is a multi-passes. In the Blender, you can see the passes menu in this section. The Cinema 4D, if anti-passes, anti-aliases, material override, option, stereoscopic. You can find the stereoscopic. Here you can see the stereoscopic in Blender, whereas you can see the stereoscopic here team render. And if you want to see the render engine in Blender, you can find the render engine in render properties section. This is, you can use the eevee, you can see the workspace, or you can use the cycles. But in other hand, in Cinema 4D, you can see the render engine from here. This is the render view. Is the render to picture view, or it is the render setting. The render setting is this is the standard render engine. This is the standard render engine, the physical, or you can use the redshift, or you can use the pro render. This is the pro render properties. If you want to use the redshift, this is the redshift render setting. Pro render. You can see the render engine in Cinema 4D from the render setting option, and in Blender you can see the render setting from the render setting section in the right panel. And now you see this object is the default position of 0 centimeter, 0, x, y, z is 0 centimeter, and size 200 centimeter, 200 centimeter, and rotation 0, 0, everything is 0. Or you can find this option in Blender. Just press the N and press the view setting, location, you can see the object properties from here. Here, first press the Q and press this icon and the object. This is the object properties icon. Location 0, 0, 0, rotation 0, 0, 0, mode XY earlier, scale. You can change the scale to 2. This is just like the position. The same setting you can see in the Cinema 4D here. This is the default interface of Cinema 4D, and you can see the same setting in default in the Blender. Just click on the right side. In the Cinema 4D, this is the timeline, or if you press it here, when you use if you are an animator, you can use this timeline. This is the timeline menu. And in Blender, this is the timeline menu. push it here, pause, run it, pause it, again play it, pause it. Now I want to change this gizmo. This is the origin. This is called the object origin. If you want to change the object origin, just press here. You can change the object origin. And click it here. If you move it, so this is the origin of this object. If you do this in Blender, it is not easy. First, set the 3D cursor and the cursor to selected, then go to edit mode, object to edit mode, and go to vertex selection mode. Select this vertex and change the 3D cursor and cursor to selected. The 3D cursor automatically come in here, and now you can press Ctrl Alt Shift C. Change the origin to 3D cursor, because this is the origin point. You can see the one orange color dotted here. This is the origin of this object. Just I want to change this origin point to here. So press again Ctrl Alt Shift C, origin to 3D cursor. Operation cannot be performed. Edit mode. You cannot do this operation in edit mode. You can do this operation in object mode. So press again Ctrl Alt Shift C, origin to 3D cursor. You see the origin automatically comes in the 3D cursor. If you in the Cinema 4D, if you change it or if you go back in the default mode, so how to do it? Just Shift C and type axis center. Click here in auto update. Click here auto update. It's automatically, or you can change it here, or you can change. Just click on the auto update. This 0, or if you change it here, this set the 0 value and execute. Okay, and in Blender, then again go to the edit mode and select everything and set the cursor to selected. 3D cursor automatically comes here, and go back to object mode, and you can find can change the origin. Or you can press the Ctrl Alt Shift C, origin to 3D cursor. So it's come back set the origin in first position. You can set the origin. This is the change this origin in Blender, and if you want to change the origin in Cinema 4D, it is easy, but in the Blender it is quite difficult. If you want to do in Cinema 4D, go to the mode and go to the view setting. If you want to add something, add an image in front view, you can set it here, and in Blender just press 1, it automatically go to the front view, and you can add the image. It is a background image, or you can set it here, align to view, click it here, click it here. You can see the background image. Just change the object in wireframe mode and go to the object data properties. This is the object data properties of this image. Click it here, display in perspective view. Display in perspective view, you can see this image in perspective view. If you uncheck this option, you cannot see. Only you can see in front view, because I select the front view. If you want to, and you can see the back view also. Back view. If you want to see the both view, front and back, press 1 to front and press Ctrl 1 to back. If you see this image on both sides, front side and just back side. If you want to see the front side, just press 1 to go front side, and display not terrific. You cannot see this image in perspective view. If you select this option, this here, select this here, display perspective, then you can see this image from perspective view. To delete it, just press X or delete. You can just delete it and go to the object mode, and you can press the delete button directly from here. Then you have no option will arise. And in Cinema 4D, you can check the show picture, uncheck. If you want to add anything, modifier It here, just press, you can see the different type of modifier, just like the subdivision, subsurface, closed surface, array surface, boolean connected, meta wall symmetry. This is the all modifier in Cinema 4D to deliver a lathe, and the cloner. This is all modifier in Cinema 4D. If you add subdivision surface, just press Alt and click. It automatically add in this object. And in Blender, you can find all modifier it here. That's the right side. Modifier properties. This is the modifier properties. At modifier, you can see everything: array, bevels, boolean, just like Cinema 4D. Subdivision, array, boolean, metabol, everything. This is the modifier is to block. Modifier, everything is here. This is the all modifier in Cinema 4D, or you can see the all modifier here. Just click it here, click here, you can see all modifier here. This is the particles properties, and this is the physical properties: force field, collision, flow, dynamic range, soft body, fluid, rigid body, everything you can find here. So if you want a subdivision surface, this is the same. As Cinema 4D. Press it here, visibility. If you see just like a Cinema 4D, it's the same thing in Blender. Just press it here, word frame, all aids, you can see it here, all aids, axis, this axis, you can see the axis, name, texture, shadow texture, or word frame. You can see it in word frame. You can see the object properties, just change this option. This where the difference between the Blender interface and Cinema 4D. You can find the different video in my channel and other part. What is the difference between Cinema 4D and Blender? So thanks for watching, and check out some of my others video. Goodbye.